The Darien Athletic Foundation is proud to present Coach's Corner on the DAF Media Network. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Damian Andrew, and joining me is the head coach of the Blue Wave varsity football program, Rob Trifone. Coach, the last time we spoke before the season started, some unanswered questions. Well, we're now 2 weeks into the season, a statement win up at Ridgefield, and then an impressive win against Brian McMahon under the lights here at Stadium Field. Thoughts 2 weeks into the season?
Well, if you would have told me 2 weeks ago that we'd be here, at 2-0 and with two, solid games, not so sure I would believe you, because we were so untested, especially at quarterback. But boy, has Jack Joyce stepped up to the plate.
He certainly has. Let's talk a little bit about Jack Joyce, your senior quarterback. 4 touchdowns in basically 2.5 quarters in the McMahon game. He was impressive. He moves so well out of the pocket, can throw it in the pocket. You were impressed with him in the preseason, and he certainly hasn't disappointed.
Has not disappointed for one day. And the interesting thing is Jack has been my quarterback since way back in the spring. And he was recouping from an injury. And there were some skeptics that, well, can he really throw the ball? And I said, he's our man. And he's only gotten better every single day.
What does he do well?
Well, first of all, he's a tremendous athlete. He moves well. He's probably the fastest kid on our team, flat out. He's got great hips. But the thing that I didn't know about Jack Joyce that I figured out in the last 3-4 weeks is, boy, is he intense. He is so hyper-focused. And on top of that athleticism, you put that type of focus, you got Jack Joyce.
Yeah, he is a competitive guy. You could see that in the McMahon game. Certainly spread the ball around. You talked about your receivers. They've done a nice job in these first 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a lot of weapons to throw to, between the Max Grants and the Nick Greens and Patrick Burke. And then you got Mitch Pryor coming out of the backfield. And we got, some young receivers who, are excellent as well. So, and Jack does a great job of reading the defense and throwing the ball to the open man.
You mentioned Mitch Pryor. Let's talk a little bit about him out of the backfield. With Joyce, the way he throws the ball, the receivers that you have, Pryor just kind of goes about his business and gets the job done. He's played well in these first 2 games for you. Had a 7-yard touchdown run and a 20-yard touchdown run in that win over Brian McMahon.
Yeah, he's a blue-collar guy, and we call him lunch pail kids, too. He just comes to work and
he brings it every week.
He brings it every week, and, there are some weeks where they play 6+ in the box, and he knows we got to throw the ball, and we're not going to, give him the ball all that much. And then there's other opportunities where, he shreds the defense pretty damn well. So he's some back, a talented back.
You talked to me prior to the season about this FCIAC schedule and how difficult it is. Certainly a tough test early in the season. Saturday here at home against St. Joe's, who have been impressive in their first 2 games, stunning New Canaan and then beating Fairfield Ward. Head coach Joe Delavecchia has done a great job with that program through the years. Your initial thoughts on the cadets and your impressions of them?
Well, I knew coming in that they were going to be a force, to be dealt with because they were young last year. And, of course, now throw in Summers at quarterback, who gets rid of the ball as good as, anyone I've seen. And again, and they're always tough, even when they're young. They were young last year, and they're feisty, and they, they keep fighting. So, you know what? It is what it is. We have to play them at some point, and I think I'd rather play them game 3 than the opener, all right? Like Lou, sorry, Lou. But that said, it's such a pleasure to coach and play in a big game. Those kids, I've told them all week, you are lucky that you have the opportunity to play in such a big game, So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And your defense has been impressive in the first 2 weeks. Your defense will certainly have its work cut out for itself in this St. Joe's game with David Summers, their quarterback, and Jared Malazzi, his #1 target, his top wide receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. Malazzi's as good as I've seen in my career. I mean, He may not be the prototypical 6'4", type of thing, but he's such great hips and hands and sticks his moves, and he does a phenomenal job. So we're working hard, and here's the problem. You go ahead and double him up, okay, or try to take him away with your best defenders, and then they've got 3 other guys they can throw the ball to. That's why they're hard to beat.
Yeah, he had the game-winning catch in that big Week 1 win over New Canaan. The last time you lost a regular season game, I hate to bring this up, was in 2013 to St. Joe's.
Oh, you think I don't remember that?
How motivating of a factor is that for your kids going into this week's game?
Well, and I'll add one, Damian. One of the last times we lost on this home field was against St. Joe's as well in overtime, back in 2012. So it's motivational. I mean, again, if you can't get ready for this game, then you're playing the wrong sport, in my opinion. But don't you worry, I'm going to fuel the fire with a few different stories.
Let's rewind and talk about last Friday night under the lights here at home at Stadium Field for the first time in school history. I know you've had a few days to let that sink in. Just talk to me about that game.
Well, and I've had an opportunity to talk to the players as well. And, I enjoyed their feedback, and they loved it. It was an incredible, Friday night atmosphere, the way high school football should be. And, in front of a nice big home crowd, and they loved it. So, again, seize the moment and take it all in, but even after 38 years, okay, going on 39, I loved it.
Let's talk quickly about the defense. I said it would be tested. Your front four, a lot of outsiders had them as a question mark heading into this season. Boy, have they answered the questions.
Yeah, they sure have. And a lot of that you got to turn back to John Carlozzi. John is our strength coach. So he takes those boys and he whips them into shape all off season long. He brings them up to the Lineman Challenge up in Berlin, Connecticut, 40 high school teams, first place 3 years in a row. And see, now they're a fraternity, and they take it, they know that their job is so important, and they also know that, we value their position. So it's become a good situation here.
Good luck this weekend.
All right, thank you very much.
1:30 kickoff Saturday here at Stadium Field. St. Joe's taking on Darien. Both teams undefeated. Should be a doozy. For the guys behind the scenes on the DAF Media Network, Bruce Ferguson, Brendan Ross, I am Damian Andrew. This has been a production of the Darien Athletic Foundation. Have a great night, everybody.